home time, Monday home time.
Oh God,
and
yes,
it's
Monday's
home
it.
time.
Because I don't usually do Lucerne on Monday. I actually thought it was Friday.
You are joking.
Just now,
I think your binge last night must have got to your head.
God,
How do you
that was
feel
awful.
post-binge?
I felt terrible this morning. But it was really handy because when I got to work, I was confessing. And then Andrea came in and she'd been doing the gut cleanse for the last 3 months. And she finished it at the weekend, so she drank a whole bottle of wine for herself last night. So she was feeling rough. Then Syra had eaten loads of bread, so it made me feel a bit better.
Oh, right, so you were amongst compadres in
I was a bit foggy, I just didn't feel like me.
I haven't felt hungry all day.
Have you?
I mean, I literally haven't felt hungry all day. What have I had? Oh, I had a packet of pork scratchings. That was it.
That's terrible.
I mean, the reason I'm having that is not because I particularly like them, though I do, but it's also because they're whatever I was doing before. So, big events tonight. Me and Maddie are off to the theatre. Ooh, look at that. Bubbly fish. Fantastic.
Sea bream.
Sea bream. Me and Maddie are off to the theatre tonight to go and see a play about a serial killer in a prison at the Young Vic. And it was cancelled last week, so let's hope we don't get all the way into town. Park outside, walk through the door,
oh,
and then
you
they
had
just...
a bad, you were feeling shit because we stayed up all night from the Oscars.
Oh yeah, it was Oscar. I was Oscar hungover. So got lots of work done today. Really good, productive day today. But sad news. Very sad news actually today. A stalwart of my dance music past, Keith Flint of The Prodigy, has sadly passed away.
He didn't particularly mean anything to me, but
No, but he was...
what hit me about it was another suicide.
He's 49 years old.
Horrendous.
He, again, it sort of goes back to that idea that a lot of those of us who kind of overindulged, especially in the 90s, which seemed to be a very sort of particularly druggy decade rather, it's the sort of residual long-term effects. It's like he started to live a clean life, and in one of his last interviews, which I thought was particularly poignant, he described how him and his wife liked going out to the countryside, liked seeing the foxes and all this kind of stuff. And right at the end there was a pause and he said, it's not very rock and roll, is it? And you sort of think, you can find the sort of set dressing of peace and tranquility, but it doesn't change what's going on inside.
Didn't you say he had quite a troubled childhood?
Yeah, he suffered from dyslexia. He was referred to many child psychologists because of his behaviour, and he was considered sort of unhelpable, I think was the...
But he lost all contact with his father.
Yeah, there was some issue with his dad. Yeah, I think he sort of disowned his father.
Did he?
And it's weird because around the 90s there were various sort of people I was working with, some of whom were involved with him and knew him. A couple of people I was working with went out with members of the Prodigy. So they were sort of, it was a very hedonistic time. But it just shows you that, a salutary tale in terms of misusing drugs of any form or alcohol is that it might not be the intensity of when you're actually addicted to the things or taking them. When it gets you, it can still get you, much later.
Well, it's like our friend Rachel, who's also our homeopath, says, those cracks that are caused.
Yes.
They sit there sort of undermining your mental health. Some survive them, some can polyfiller over them, but sometimes it just becomes seismic and you just...
But I think...
Yeah.
But he was cute. He was very symbolic for me. I saw them live a couple of times, but he was the ferociously sort of angry-looking, spiky-haired frontman who would scream Firestarter at the crowd. And if you think about that song, it was a real Rage Against the Machine type song. And, it just seems so sort of sad. So anyway, our hearts go out, and it's just another bloody statistic of a man of a certain age. Oh, it's just really upsetting.
Our suicide rates are off the scale. Kiki! Come on, darling. When I asked Mark, I came in from work, I said, would you like some grilled sea bass and some green vegetables? He went, no.
I didn't say that.
I said, can I have some cold meat? Yeah. But when you look at someone, you know they're too hungry to even know what they need. What do you think of that, girls? You glad you have this now? How jealous would you have been if you were sat there with some cold chicken?
I'm quite relieved. Toffs. That's your tail, Toffee. That's your tail. Good dog. 4 pieces. I'm eating a shoal of fish. Oh, look at that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Maddie, why not be the
Totally
person
self-sufficient.
that can do a steak? You know how to do spaghetti bolognese, you know how to do vegetable soup, you know how to do tomato sauce. How to cook a steak. So, make sure your pan's really hot.
Hot.
Make sure you get your steak out of the fridge for about an hour before you're going to cook it.
I thought you were going to say about a week.
Even a few hours, because it's better if the meat is room temperature, because that stops it toughening up. Because if it goes into a hot pan when it's cold, all the meat fibres go like that and you get tough meat. So rub it with a bit of oil. Never put the oil in the pan, because then you have a crazy smoking pan. Sometimes people put the salt on. They go, oh, I've got that all ready. I've put the oil on, I've put the salt on. I'm just going to go off and do my other stuff and it's ready to go. Don't, because the salt will draw out the juice out of the meat and you'll get dry. So you've got to put your hand there and feel the heat about that high off the pan.
Feel the heat.
Okay, so you've only just put the salt, rubbed it in a little oil, goes into the pan, drop it away from you so it doesn't all spit on you.
Nothing worse than a spitting steak, I hear.
Really
I'm trying to be less irritating.
Oh, are you? Well, that's good you told me. Okay, so then we're just going to leave it and then we're going to turn it over in a couple of minutes.
Can I just say, I've often heard you say the art of cooking a good steak is to not interfere with it too much.
Yes, so Maddie, you will see, and boys are the worst for it. Fork, move it around, move it around. Don't touch it. Because what you're wanting to do is to get them. There's sugars in the meat, and when you cook them, they caramelise. You get that nice brown, like the crispy bits of the meat. If I was to stick my fork in my steak, what would happen? What do you think would happen?
Blood would come out.
Yeah, all the juice will come out, and you'll have a dry steak.
Top of the glass.
So when I do turn it over, I only ever put the fork. So I'm using the fork into the fat, never into the meat.
Oh, I wonder why you take it to the
Okay,
edge.
so
What is it, Mum?
turn it over. Just not to turn it. Right. That's it.
That's it?
So that steak is now cooked.
See you in a bit. Good luck.
Bye.
Stay mustard coloured.
Keep your phone on in case there's something else I think of. Now to make it really juicy at the end, you can turn it off, add some butter.
Jesus, look at that.
Just a little. I won't use that whole clove because you don't want it overpowered. Turn it around a bit. Oh God, how good does that smell? Pour it on the steak. Yum.
That's a fat steak, isn't it? It's a big steak. It's the size of my face.
Oh, then get it out of the pan, because some people let the meat sit in the pan, but of course what happens is it carries on cooking. So you want it to just sit for a few minutes, because then the juice goes back into the meat.
That's right.
There you go, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt.
Who's Fanny?
She's a very good woman.
Huh?
Very fine woman.
Bob. Who's Bob? Who's Bob now?
He's a marvellous man.
Is he all right? Are they married, Bob and Fanny?
No.
No. Oh, right.
Illicit affair.
Oh, right. Bob, Fanny's right. So, what do they eat?
Maddie likes peppers.
Do you?
So good for you.
Pardon?
Anti-cancer fighting. So good for you.
Just see look at your eyelashes, man.
They're not real.
I know.
They're loose women
Oh my God, I
eyelashes.
saw footage the other day, sent to me by a friend of ours, of a dolphin trying to mount a woman. That's terrible.
I don't even know what do you want me to say?
I was so shocked. She was at just a resort and it got out of the pool and it just wouldn't leave her alone.
Oh, Bart, don't be so silly.
Right.
What do you call it if an animal wants to have sex with a human then? It's not bestiality.
Humanity.
It's called wildlife. No, I'm really trying not to be irritating.
It's really weird.
It's boring, isn't it? That's what it is. It's boring.
Can I not have
Boring.
a happy medium
No, you can't.
where you say something funny or something playful
You
with...
don't-
Hang on,
right.
let me finish. You say something happy or playful,
Yeah.
we all laugh, and then you leave it. You don't do it 10 more times.
But if
Because
we-
that's where it gets irritating.
But then we're sort of managing everything, aren't we? Then we're sort of managing everything.
No, we're trying to make me not have a flaming heart attack.
Okay, hit play on that.
So Maddie as well.
Yeah, go round. Hit.
Maddie, watch this one. No.
Oh my god.
No, he's just trying to get on the side.
Mum, it's no. You're
Oh my god, is she going to crush her?
Thanks,
Maddie,
John.
how much salt have you put on? I just put salt on that.
tiniest pinch.
You are hardening your
You put
arteries.
3 grains of salt on all those
Nadia,
chips.
I want you to have a healthy heart.
Live fast. Oh my god. Wow, they look so cool.
Oh my god.
You've pimped up your Timberlands.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well,
Getting
I thought
everyone
I'd make
ready
some
for tomorrow.
pancakes and show the subs because we could do it tomorrow, but then it'd be past pancake
Yeah,
time.
people need to know beforehand.
Yeah. So this is the way my
I
mum
think that
always.
deserves your dance.
Up there for thinking, down there for dancing. Up there for thinking, down there for dancing. Up there for thinking, down there for dancing.
So past it.
So past it. Okay.
Baby!
Okay,
Right,
let's get this going.
Oh yeah, baby.
Oh yeah, baby.
Bye. I can't remember how much. So basically, I promise I'm going to put the recipe underneath.
Yeah, believe it when I see it.
So,
What's she doing? You making pancakes now?
Yeah, for people for tomorrow. Because think about it. Tomorrow night, you're going to be in the epicenter of pancake night, aren't you? You're going to be at the eye of the pancake storm.
Why are we making them now?
Because when you're at the eye of the pancake storm, you want to already know how to make
make
them.
them. And I'll make a pile of them and then they're ready for tomorrow.
Don't worry, it doesn't
They'll
mean...
be all like.
No, you're going to have some tomorrow.
Sweetheart, I will make another fresh batch for you.
She's worried she's going to miss out on the pancakes,
No,
aren't
I
you?
know I'm not.
So Maddie, watch this as well because you can learn. So you make a hole in your flour
Chefs love things like that, don't they?
and you pour in, oh, I can never do this all right.
It's because you haven't got strong enough hands.
So you pour in the milk and the egg into the middle,
Milk and the hay.
stirring. I should have put a wet cloth. If I put a damp cloth underneath this wouldn't be moving around.
I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah. So annoying, it's moving around. Ah! Thanks, sweetheart.
No.
So there we go. So I've got 2 eggs and 600 mils of milk.
So is it important that you keep stirring?
Well, yeah, because otherwise you're less likely
Curd.
to get lumps.
Right.
Right, so this, up until now, that's what everybody else does for their pancake mixture.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Maddie.
What I do, and this is from my mum's trick,
Ooh.
I put in some melted
Ooh.
butter. I wouldn't do that normally just on a Sunday morning, but as it's pancake day, I make them a little bit special.
Ooh.
And,
What does that do?
or it just gives another to it. And because these are going to be sweet,
You already what?
again,
The-
I wouldn't
what do you want?
normally add sugar, but I'm going to add about a tablespoon of sugar into the pancake, and you get a really nice, no, it was
Lovely.
slightly more caramelised. So here's the thing. Now, if you really can do this, either leave it overnight or minimum for half an hour. That's because of the way that the gluten reacts when you let it sit. So you get a more light, buttery sort of pancake rather than rubbery.
Bloody hell, babe, you sound like a scientist.
Well, cooking is science.
Remember ages ago when Mum was on Lorraine or something, and then she said to Lorraine, "Oh God, what do you mean you don't know how to split an egg? Everyone knows how to split an egg."
No, I didn't.
Whilst,
No, it was worse
whilst,
than that. I said, I think today, because we always assume everybody knows how to separate an egg, I'm just going to show everyone at home that doesn't know, this is the...
But Lorraine said something like, "Oh, I don't know how to split an egg," and you went, "How does anyone not know how to split an egg?" Whilst Mum splits an egg and pours it all into just the pan, and it was.
It was on live television.
And then
Google
they
it.
replayed- and then they
Google
replayed
it.
it
You'll
on
be able
Family
to find
Fortunes.
it. So we're just
Do you
going to
remember?
leave.
And then they
Yeah, and then they
replayed it on
played it
Family-
again on Family Fortune. That's the trouble with live television. You make a mistake, and everyone knows about it.
God, Family Fortunes and you and Izzy were like a carrot and something.
I
Do you
was a
remember going?
mouse.
"Duh, duh, duh,
Oh,
duh,
yeah.
duh,
God,
duh." No, you and
look on YouTube for that. It's so funny. What was it called?
Family
Family
Fortunes.
Fortunes.
So today on Loose Women, we were talking about knife crime. God, that poor girl. Do you know the story of that? What happened to that poor girl? She was oblivious. They didn't say a word.
No, they walked away once,
I know,
then they
came
came
back.
back and stabbed her in the back.
I know. We were talking about it on the show today, and we were saying how scary it is for parents. And actually, it was quite interesting. Colleen was saying that it's actually her kids that calm her down, because they say to her, listen, you know, it's still so rare, it's still, I mean, you know.
It's about rare.
I said it doesn't feel rare where we live.
It's not rare. It's definitely not rare.
Well, how does it feel to you then?
Well, I definitely think parents panic more than us. I don't really know why. I don't go out thinking I'm gonna.
No.
Get stabbed.
Obviously, I'm like aware of my surroundings. I'm not like blindly walking around. But I don't go out with the. When I go out for the day or something, I'm not like, oh God, got to be careful I don't get stabbed today.
Yeah, no.
But I think it's different for guys and it's for girls. That's why it's so weird. This girl. I think it's
It is
rare for
weird.
girls to be stabbed. Is what it's saying.
Yeah. Unless, especially because well, at the moment, of course, we don't know. She certainly doesn't appear she was part of a gang or anything like that. So
I've never got over the time I went up just locally to where we live here, to the local shops. And as I was coming out of the car, a boy, very matter-of-factly, got off the bus. But as you know when they jump off a bus, they land and hit the floor a bit hard. As he hit the floor, a knife fell out of his pocket or his jacket. And it was no exaggeration. It was one of those really, really... No, but it was about as big as that. And it clattered across the floor and across the floor. And he looked at me, because he saw that I'd seen, and there was no threat to me. He had no interest in me, but he knew that I'd seen it. And he just leant down with totally calmly, picked it up, put it in his coat, looked at me and just carried on. I had such a chill in my bones. Such a chill in my bones, because I'd imagine that to your friends, that's quite normal.
Yeah.
To know that kids have got them.
What's normal?
People tend to assume that everybody that carries a knife is just evil and looking for trouble.
Don't be
But I
rude.
think a lot of the time it's actually protection.
I know.
And sometimes
that's true.
I also think they wouldn't do anything with it. It's there to scare people. So like when somebody's being mugged, somebody a lot of the time pulls out a knife. I'm not saying that that's not always the case. Maybe they are. A lot of the time they are doing it because they're going to stab the person. But sometimes it is to scare people, and it is just to kind of make people panic and do what they. Not that that's a good thing.
No.
That's still bad. But I'm just saying it's not always evil people carrying knives. I've
Well,
known
you
my,
know,
my friends in the past have, but it's not to stab anyone. It's like if I was in a situation.
I think that's the awful thing. I think there's a lot of young men
Who
that
feel
are
it's the only way they can be
scared not
safe.
to carry a knife. And that's where the brilliant Brooke Kinsella Trust is so good, because they go into schools and they show them countless examples of where that's gone so terribly wrong.
But how do you...
Because if you're not the sort of person that can stab someone, because it's not easy to
No.
plunge a knife into somebody, and you're carrying a knife, that could really end up
But
backfiring.
what do you say? I mean, I think about it. I remember being beaten up by blokes when I was younger. What do you say to a young bloke who lives in a neighbourhood,
I
a
know.
particular neighbourhood where he feels at risk,
I don't know.
and he feels safer with a knife?
What do you say?
I mean, how do you? It's
These
all very
poor
good. It's all very
young
good. Us middle class,
people.
liberal.
Well, this is what I always say on Loose Women. The thing is, all this throw them in prison, do this, it's all bollocks. Where is the root cause? How are some of these children growing up? What areas are they living in? Are they so frightened that to go out of their door that they that they won't go? It's really easy, but meantime, we grew up in an area where there is a lot of knife crime, and we have two,
Daughters.
precious daughters
Girls.
that we worry about.
No, of course.
And there really isn't. And the conclusion on Loose Women today was, there's nothing really we can do.
But Theresa May, the story's just literally broken about 2 minutes
Oh.
ago. Theresa May has said, the problem isn't a result of lack of policing. And
Well, that's not what all the people that
No.
work with anti-knife crime, they say there is that people know they can get away with it.
Yeah.
And it's a problem. And because there's no visible police, that's a problem.
Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of fuss and nonsense in London, understandably, about stop and search, because it's used, or there's the feeling that it's used pejoratively against minorities.
Yeah.
I do think if you could remove the racial hue to stop and search,
I don't think the age hue.
and the age hue,
Yeah.
what they stop people
Well,
of a...
because people assume teenagers are always up to no good, even if
Right.
they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what you're saying is it's young adults as much as teenagers.
Maybe-
But I
maybe
think,
they
but no,
have to-
but the one part of the world where I do know for a fact, and this is because I worked in Manhattan a couple of times before the mayor had a zero tolerance policy, and then I've been there subsequently. Some kind of zero tolerance policy does work.
Right.
It does work. It's
So
cleaned
they
up parts
say
of
that
New York.
that it was very flawed.
It was
Giuliano's
flawed. Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
because
absolutely.
He pushed it out to the suburbs.
Well, yeah.
But he did make New York City
Yeah.
habitable.
But I do wonder whether it does require some kind of info. It's that thing of if you've got nothing to hide from CCTV, you've got nothing to hide, but you've got to be certain that the police aren't saying, I'm only stopping black people, I'm only stopping young people.
Well, yeah, I just think it's unfair, the whole race thing as well. Like when I'm in Croydon, I was in Box Park a while ago. I was with two friends of mine, one was black, one was white. Both guys, and they both had their hoods up. Just because they had their hoods up, you know, like everybody else does. And one of the security men came over and told my black friend to put his hood down and not my white friend. And he said, could you pull your hood down, please? But only said it to my friend, and then he was like, why? He went, because it's suspicious. And then it was like, what about my other friend? And he was like, well, okay, yeah, you can take yours down as well. But he didn't, like, he came over to my black friend and was like, take your hood off, it's suspicious.
Hello, Sobs. It's sat for half an hour now. Look at that. Look how lovely that is. Lacy, buttery. Oh my God, perfect crepe. So what I'm doing is, I'm just rubbing a bit of butter. The pan has to be really hot, but don't make the mistake of just having the gas on really high. You want to heat the pan up over a medium heat. If you have it too hot, it will just burn. If you have it too cold, you get a flabby pancake. So, pour it into the middle. Spin it round. Nice and thin. Right, what you're waiting for are those holes, like that nice lace. Look, you want lace. That is a true crepe when you get lacy, holy. So you might be tempted to flip it now while the holes come, but what you want is you want the pancake dry, almost completely dry before you flip it. Don't move it around in the pan, don't shake it.
Going dry where it's like dark yellow.
See, look there, this side of it's dry, this side of it's wet. See?
Yeah.
So we're gonna get a beautiful, oh, look at that. Perfection. Sheer perfection.
Careful that you do them well today and then they're not good tomorrow.
So you really are worrying about tomorrow?
Because it's the same thing of like, if I practice my makeup for a party the night before, I do it really bad on the party day, and then I did it really well the day before.
Maddie, I've just got one thing to say to you. Oh, where's it gone? Where's my MasterChef trophy? This would be the perfect time to shake it at you. Okay.
Under your bed again.
Done, under the bed. Okay, so in we go. I'll explain to you in a minute. And just swish it around the pan. My pan is really nice and hot, but it's not so hot that it's burning. Medium heat, really important. That's still a bit wet, so if I was to pick that up now, that would all dribble. I want it to be nice and dry. It's drying now. See, look how it's going brown around the edges, nice and lacy. Done. There you go. All ready for pancake day tomorrow, guys. Do you want one?
Are you kidding? Yeah.
Kind of. So we have the taste testers, we have Sally, we have Kiki Bean,
so
we
beautiful
have
and
Maddie
thin.
Adderley. Look at that, pure lacy French pancakes.
Can you get a spoon, Mummy?
I have a spoon.
Oh, you got it. Thank you.
So how are they looking so far, Maddie?
Pretty darn fine.
Darn good. Woo!
I'll put that on so badly.
Woo! Okay, roll it up. Do you know how lucky you are, guys, having your pancakes be the day before pancake
That's
day?
really weird.
Really good.
Perfection?
A little bit too burnt on the side.
I don't think so.
You said an honest opinion. And then mouthed at me when I said it was
That was so funny because I said to Maddie, give me an honest
good.
opinion. She
Like
went,
this, and then
she went, turns a bit brown around the side of me. Come on, girls. So, how is it, Kiki?
Yeah, it's
Sally?
really nice.
Nice, Sally?
Really good.
Oh, good. Happy Pancake Day for tomorrow, everybody. Mark and Maddie have just gone to the theatre. I have cooked steak, chips and pepper salad. I have cooked sea bream, vegetables and rice. I have cooked a pile of pancakes. What else have I done? I've made a mess. We've shot a review for a trailer. I've done some Insta stories. I've answered 5 or 6 emails, the dogs are fed, Kiki's in a bath. I've done everything and I've got time for myself. Shall I do the cupboard? I'm going to watch Housewives of Beverly Hills.
So we're just waiting in the car to go to the theatre, me and Madalushka, and we just thought we'd depress ourselves with Radiohead, didn't we?
Yeah.
Exit music to film, for a film.
For a film.
It takes me back to the 90s.
Here we go.
Seriously. Ready?
Just doing something there's no way I could do if Mark was here. I'm watching Victoria. I never missed it. I missed the series. But I loved Jenna Coleman so much in The Cry that I think it'd be foolish to miss out on it. And look, I've got the onesie on again. So anything could happen. So we've had a lovely evening together. You've been upstairs, I've been downstairs, but I was watching a programme I didn't want you to watch. So have you had a nice evening?
Yeah.
Good night then.
Good night.
Love you. Mark and Maddie are on their way back. I've just booked myself in for an early morning yoga tomorrow, so I'm going to crash now before they're back. So, good night, subs.